Wonderful Friday. Yes, January 12th, 2024. Happy birthday, Nisi. And we are in the midst of celebrating our icons, our leaders, our heroes who paved the way so that we can enjoy freedom and liberty and joy, going to the store we want, going to the restaurant, going to the movies, because we have that freedom. But in the meantime, we are continuing to read about Schomburg, Arturo Schomburg, the man who built a library, in preparation for Dr. King's birthday. Arturo Schomburg was becoming quite the collector. He nabbed 2 volumes by Paul Cuffey, an early American whaler, shipbuilder, and maritime trader whose fleet sailed the United States Atlantic coast to the Caribbean and to Europe. On ships he'd built, Cuffey and his crew whaled in the waters of the Atlantic. This was dirty and dangerous work, but necessary. First harpoons flew, and later blubber was rendered into whale oil for lamps to light growing cities. Paul Cuffey was one of the richest black men in early America. He could afford to speak his mind. Cuffey wrote a petition that free blacks should be able to vote since they paid taxes, and he was the first to float the Back to Africa idea. He could see free blacks and freed slaves settling in Sierra Leone someday. Cuffey sailed there, set foot on West African soil to judge if his new society might root. At the White House, he reported that his dream to send 1 vessel to Africa each year held promise. In Cuffey, Arturo found a forerunner to Marcus Garvey, the Harlem Renaissance leader who preached black pride, self-help, and like Cuffey a century earlier, a return to Africa. In the 1920s, Arturo supported Garvey, his newspaper Negro World, and his Black Star steamship line. As the Garveyites paraded down Harlem's 125th Street in plumed hats and tasseled, brass-buttoned uniforms, and did Paul Cuffey's voyages cross Arturo's mind? There are a lot of whalers. What is that? Nantucket and the Hamptons area, Northampton, Bridgehampton, East New York. Yeah, where the rich hang out. Bloodhound. Though this is actually dark from here. Though a mailroom clerk at a bank by day, Arturo rubbed shoulders with Alain Locke, dubbed the father of the Harlem Renaissance, founder of Tuskegee Institute, and W.E.B. Du Bois, an Atlanta University professor and the first African American to earn a doctorate from Harvard. The two disagreed about whether to push for social or economic progress, but they agreed that black history could be a bridge. Arturo's acquaintances were a who's who of the Harlem Renaissance. He was invited to the first meeting of an informal guild of young black writers. Poets County Cullen and Langston Hughes were members. So was novelist and poet Jesse Redmond Fawcett, an editor of the NAACP magazine, The Crisis, and of the African American children's magazine, The Brownies book. These writers joined Arna Bontemps, Georgia Douglas Johnson, and artist Aaron Douglas in asking Arturo to hunt for historic references that could water the seeds of creative and scholarly endeavors. His collection, fertile soil for growing black pride, when it came to digging up that L and U look like that they were combined. Rare finds and obscure facts. Arturo had what poet Claude McKay called a bloodhound's nose. Arturo loaned not only books to students, artists, and writers, he also lent interpretations, insights, and sometimes cash. because he was very generous, with booklets full of texts that Schomburg found his friends mined blackness and broke new ground. Yes, it's good to share wealth in many ways. Home. Busy, always busy, said Fernando of his father. Arturo Schomburg, he was gone, traveling on lecture tours of collecting missions for what seemed like 8 months each year. And when he was home in Brooklyn, he was out most evenings for club and lodge meetings. His visiting children lived among the countless books in his collection. His only daughter, Dolores, greeted artists and scholars who came by to view his growing library. Arturo's wife, Elizabeth, fought to carve out living space for the family, but that was a losing battle. Her efforts to clean his desk also in vain. When she cleared the clutter to dust, he complained that important references were misplaced. She finally left well enough alone. Even though she had great intentions. All right. Writer and researcher. Arturo Schomburg aimed to prove Africans' place in world history. In Harlem, he joined the Men's Sunday Club, which grew into the Negro Society for Historical Research. The society sponsored lectures and galas, and in its first place amassed more than 300 books and manuscripts. Arturo stored that collection at his home alongside his own. He was also president of the American Negro Academy and Grand Secretary of the all-black Prince Hall Grand Masonic Lodge. And he served on the committee to start a Negro division at the Harlem branch of the New York Public Library. Civic-minded, but no social climber, he skipped the famed parties of the roaring 20s jazz age. Arturo preferred leading through history to dancing the Lindy Hop. With a busy schedule of lectures and meetings, it's a wonder he had time for researching and writing. Arturo's articles, essays, and letters to the editor shared what he had learned. Facts kept in darkness far too long. He profiled 18th century composer Chevalier de Saint Georges, a French knight known as the Black Mozart. St. George's was a song to Arturo's heart. He also wrote of gladiators, military leaders, and majesty. One article tells of a huge pearl found by an African slave on an island in the Gulf of Panama. The jewel adorned Spanish queens until Napoleon's brother took it to France. Sold to a British duke, the pearl was lost in Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle, but was recovered each time. The gem's fabled past earned it the name La Peregrina, the Wanderer. Arturo's research pulled him along the triangular trade route, just as surely as wind currents and greed carried supplies from Europe to Africa to barter for slaves and took captive Africans to American colonies to grow sugarcane that would be distilled into rum to be sold in Europe. Through the pages of history, Arturo toured the diaspora. His sense of Africana transcended national boundaries. Heritage for him was braided from many threads. Arturo's most important article was for Survey Graphic, the Negro digs up his past. It ran in a special issue, Harlem, Mecca of the New Negro. Of the contents page, Arturo is listed among other contributors, scholars, and creative geniuses. Schomburg's words give voice to the ancestors. Their pigment flowed through his pen. And we're thankful of his contributions, and that's why I believe this is the start of the official Black History celebration. The weekend before Dr. King's birthday, where we bring to mind all of the heroes that led to the civil rights era and beyond. So what are we going to do to show harmony, love, and peace? Let's get moving, let's get studying, and let's make a difference.